Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Camerascore. This week we are talking about Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Do you want to see this film? I don't think you want to. As a matter of fact, you don't. That being said, let's get into it. A sequel, or I guess the answer to the trilogy 10 years later. Was this needed? Is it a great addition to the franchise? Is it like a resurgence of amazing magic tricks and crazy setups and explanations at the end? There are some of those here, but a lot of what is here is nonsensical. And I know it's magic, it's not all supposed to be the quintessential explanation that makes the most logical sense, but what's here is pushing it too much. Let's start with the positives though.
The other horsemen are dead.
Oh my god, what?
No. They're like dead to me. Things got too real for them. They gave up. Stop interrupting. I'm talking about a trick that is bigger and better than anything you have ever seen.
To start, the visuals are really cool. A lot of the magic tricks and the little subtle cuts that they use to create them are really cool. The way that they display these sleight of hand tricks, which I don't know if the actors would have learned them. Maybe they did learn a little bit of magic along the way. I mean, this does feel like a foray into the magic world and magic history, as it were. They even talk about how someone in World War II used quote unquote a magic trick of deception to confuse the Nazis. Now, why does every film have to validate their existence via World War II? That's a conversation for another time. But at least here it wasn't too heavy handed. The portrayals of the Four Horsemen, always a classic, or I guess a classic for some, and the new three that step into the picture, they all did pretty solid jobs. Juno, the least of them, but the way that they kind of move into this team and mend into the fold is pretty cool. The thing is, with a lot of these sequels, they like to introduce the old team, but then also introduce this new team and have them play off of each other in the hopes that perchance they may get that beautiful, beautiful extra sequel trilogy. Will that be happening with this film? I don't think so. But the three of them, they perform well enough together. I could see them in something else. Now, I don't know if it's another Now You See Me. Maybe there's hope for the future with that, but the way it was executed here was not the greatest. But I'm forgetting myself. I'm on the positives. Another cool thing was the big mystery explanation. I feel like that is the quintessential aspect that you associate with Now You See Me, whichever other titles that they had. They take the time to make this whole plot behind the scenes. And the way that they carry it out is very secretive. You kind of get bits and pieces. And then at the end, it's this big magical reveal. Like a magic trick, except they tell you in the end how they actually do it. And here it was very entertaining. Now, some of it made absolutely no sense. But 95 to 90% of it was really, really cool and unexpected. It's almost like a whodunit, but the mystery thief version, where at the end you kind of figure out how did they do this and what was their objective, what was the goal, what was the final score that they stole. And in this case, it is the heart diamond. That is cliche as cliche gets, but it's still an interesting way in which they carried out. It's not necessarily just thieves stealing a diamond for no reason, rich to poor or whatever. That being said, the last positive I could give it, because there is a decent amount of negatives, I really do like the integrations between the two teams and the faithful delivery and the faithful portrayal of the previous team being strong as they are. Like I said, a lot of these films, they love to introduce the new team, introduce the old team, mend them together, have them work together. In this one, for the most part, they still gave the old team their props. They still allowed them to be great without having them just look stupid in front of the new team, for the most part. But with that, we get into the negatives.
Two generations of magicians brought together for a reason.
Upside down room. Cool.
Cool? Is nothing impressive to you?
So, where to begin? First negative, why was this made? Actually, I know why this was made. They wanted the money. But the way the story is portrayed, it's not like they bring them back out of nowhere. They at least have a really cool story point in the reason why they wanted to recruit the Four Horsemen. But in general, this film doesn't take it to new heights. And I feel like that's what the third movie should always do. It should either strip away something and show you more of the personalities, Iron Man 3 to so to speak, even though that film had its faults, or it should take it to new heights, give them new abilities, quote unquote, new powers, new perspectives on what they can do with said abilities. This film doesn't do any of that. It kind of just brings them back to life, uses them, introduces a new cast, and then just moves on. It just felt like sequel money bait to the max. I'm sorry. Another thing that really grinds my gears for this is that I know there's the suspension of disbelief. It's magic, it's mystical worlds, and there's no way that this is really real. It's almost a Scooby Doo aspect where the guy's flying in a cloud of gas, and then they're like, well, he did it with this machine. That's what this whole film essentially is. But there are so many points in this film where I'm like, how are they not caught? What is happening? They're being chased by Interpol, but at the same time, they're just walking through the streets. I don't understand. They had a private jet. I get that. But aren't these supposed to be some of the most wanted fugitives, Robin Hood types? Yes, Robin Hood was loved by the people, but he was hated by the government. He was hated by the police force at the time, whatever you would call them. And he was being chased. He had to hide. In this case, they're just out and open, waltzing around, out and about, talking about saving the day and rich to poor and all the things they stand for. And rightfully so, people are cheering for them. But where are the police? There are several points in this film where I'm like, how did they get here unscathed, unfettered? Nobody touched them? No one even saw them? What is going on? Is the magic trick that they teleport from place to place? It just the suspension of disbelief was just too high for this film. Even how I mentioned with the last reveal of the big plan, where they tell you how they got to that point. I feel like the explanation made sense for most of it, but some of it I was like, there's just no way. They're, they're not this dumb. It doesn't make any sense for them to not have detected what you were doing at certain parts. There's a certain elevator used. I won't spoil too much, but come on, bro. There's no way she couldn't tell. Now, when you see the film, if you see the film, you'll understand what I mean. But it's just one of those things. I simply don't get it. Another point, the main villain, so to speak, the South African woman, if she's South African, I'd have to double check that. You'll see the little pop up if I did double check that. Her accent is horrible. And I don't know if this is how South African accents sound from a certain region. I don't want to be offensive, but it just sounded weird the entire time. I'm sorry. It sounded Southern British, Australian at the same time. And I guess it was given a little bit of Tyler vibes, but at the same time, it just sounded so off kilter. I'm sorry. I couldn't take her seriously, even when she was being serious. And I'm not trying to be that person, but come on, bro. There has to be a delivery to it. She's supposed to be menacing as the main villain. And I think it sounds almost inauthentic because I don't believe that authentic South African people sound that way or whatever region she's claiming to be from. It was just goofy throughout the entire film. It just took me out of it. She's threatening to kill people. She's talking about her plans. She's like, oh, these people don't matter to me. But at the same time, she sounds just goofy. I'm sorry. There's no other word for it. It kind of ruined some of her moments for me. Another thing was the magic in this, as I said, is pretty cool. The sleight of hand, the tricks, and the way that they carry this whole escapade adventure out. But the times that they were doing the magic just didn't make much sense to me. You're running from the police, or the police are actively chasing you, Interpol is actively chasing you, and you're taking time to do this magic show off competition. What is happening? It's like it carries along with what I was saying before, where there's just so many moments in this film that don't logically make any sense. You know you're on a time crunch. It's urgent. You have to solve this. You have to figure out what's going on. And you're over here playing around, showing off your magic and one-upping each other, walking around. There's entire locations that are placed into this film and serve no real purpose. They're there, maybe something gets done, then we're on to the next one. And it just felt like a lot of these moments were constructed like a loose storyboard. We want this cool moment. We want this cool moment. We want this cool moment. But they didn't care how they were going to connect these moments. They just knew we had to be here. We need the chateau. We need it. Well, how did they get there? We'll get to that later. Let's go film it. It just felt like this whole film was bits and bobs and pieces of magic and mystery that looked cool but did not flow well together, in my personal opinion. Another thing that I didn't like, a lot of the puzzles in this, there's mystery, there's the whole figure out what's going on aspect of this, almost like Uncharted, Nathan Drake, Laura Croft type. These puzzles were escape room 2-star out of 5 difficulty level. And I know they want to keep it simple for audiences, but come at least be a little bit confusing. I could have walked up and just been like, if I hit this and that, I bet this opens up. And that's what they did. They made it seem like, whoa, this is so mysterious. Who could have figured this out? They did the old book, you pull it, and the door opens up trick. The problem with that type of trick is unless there's some death trap if you pull the wrong book, I can just pull every book. It doesn't matter. It's not like poison darts come out and hit me in the neck if I chose the wrong one. I can just pull every book off the shelf because we're in a mysterious place. Of course, the bookshelf opens up. That being said, I'm just here for the camera score. And for this film, it is a 5 to 6 out of 10. It is average to slightly above average at best. Now, I think I'm leaning more towards 6 out of 10, but there's just no way. I'm sorry. After what the previous films were and all the magic that was happening in those and the final payoffs that were really, really cool and weren't really done around that time, for them to bring it back and revive it in this way, it's just kind of pulling out a dead man, playing with his corpse, and then throwing him to the side in hopes of restarting the sequels with this new cast. And it just doesn't work well. I'm sorry. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you love this film and I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, let me know in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe to see what else I'm posting.